Hello and welcome to the Empath Zone podcast, where we discuss various topics about being an empath and spirituality. I'm Gary Leigh, and I'm an empath and a healer, and I also run the Empath Zone. So today, with me as usual, are two wonderful co-hosts. The first is a very sick Jennifer Harris, who helps me run this group, and her specialty is demonology. Hi Jen, how are you feeling today?
At least I have a voice right now, so we're good.
Well, your voice when it's actually being lost sounds very cute, so
Thank you.
I suppose it's got its benefits.
I sound like a little mouse.
A cute little mouse. And our other regular co-host is Marisol, whose speciality is psychic attacks. So hi Mari.
Hey, how's it going?
Good. Okay, I can hear some sort of rustling in the background, so I don't know where that's from. But...
That's not me.
That's
not me.
That was
I swear.
me. I moved.
It's Jen. It's all Jen's fault.
Okay, good. Anyway, today's topic is about soulmates and twin souls. So I suppose the question is, what is a soulmate? And that's actually a question which has several answers from what I know. So maybe I'll start with you, Mari. Do you want to explain what a soulmate is, and I'll chip in?
Sounds good. Okay, so my understanding of a soulmate is a soul that comes from the same soul family. So therefore, they're your mate, as in your friend, not like relationship. A soulmate can come in many forms. They could be a friend, a boyfriend, girlfriend. They could even be a member of your family, just a friend. And this person will either come in and help you with something, or they just come in to sort of support you with your path, give you validation. So
a soul family, which probably would be an unfamiliar term to a few people, are people who are from your soul group. Every soul sends down its avatars to be incarnated as human beings, and the soul group might have countless avatars there. Your whole family could be from the same soul group, or not always the case, but it is generally that the people in your life you've been with for many lifetimes. So a soul group are people that you would be very close to vibrationality-wise on the astral levels. The astral levels, of course, being anything that's not 3D level.
So basically, a soulmate would be like a best friend, a parent, a sibling, a child.
Certainly can be. The definition of soulmate is very misunderstood. The whole thing with soulmates is that there are several different kinds. Now, what I understand from the general soulmate is that when you meet someone, you feel like you have such a lot of things in common that they feel like that they are your soulmate. But what happens is that as time goes on, you'll notice that they don't feel like a soulmate anymore, and you're wondering, so what's going on here? The reason for that is that when you meet, your vibrational levels match each other. By that I mean, it's like you are of the same level. So you feel the same, you try to think the same, and you have this sort of real pull towards each other because it's like magnets attracting each other. Soulmates can also feel like someone who is mirroring you. So if you get someone who's a sociopath, for example, and they're doing everything to mirror your feelings, just so they can start to get your trust or be in your life, that will feel like a soulmate. But the trouble is that the moment they start reverting to who they are and the flow stops, then they don't feel like a soulmate anymore, and you think to yourself, what's going on? I thought you were my soulmate.
So basically, soulmates, they're only there for, or they might be there for a lifetime, or they could be someone that comes into your life, shakes things up, and leaves again.
It is true, and it may not be the correct term to call them a soulmate. It could be more to do with a soul call or a previous arrangement for people to come into your life, give you that experience, and so you can continue on in your life, on your life path, and then they move on. But with generally with soulmates, it's anyone who happens to be vibrating on your vibrational level at the time. And if you grow and they don't grow, then things are going to change between you. True soulmates and the lifelong soulmates grow in the same direction together.
So if someone, let's say, is just a reflection of you, that would be a soulmate in
If
a way?
it's a reflection of you, as in they have the same ideals, the same thoughts, the same patterns, then it is quite possible that they are a soulmate, or it's possible that they are a sociopath, because that's what sociopaths tend to do as well. So it's sometimes pretty tricky to tell the difference.
All right. Because the question Heba asked is the guy that they broke up with asked if it was a twin flame because they could see their old self in him, and he wasn't spiritual like she was, and he broke up with me because I couldn't compromise on my values for him. Would that be considered a soulmate?
No.
Or would that be a twin flame?
I would say neither, because no soulmate or twin flame will ask you to compromise your values. They should be enhancing who you are, not asking you to compromise who you are. And that to me sounds more like a sociopath who initially mirrors you and then tries to change you and control you. And if someone's asking you to be something you are not, or asking you to compromise yourself, that's not what you would look for in a soulmate.
What can we do to find our soulmates?
The soulmate's always going to come into your life at the right time. When you're soulbound to someone, it doesn't matter what you do. They will find you, or you will find them.
They'll totally find you.
Oh, yeah. In fact, I think nearly all my soul family has tracked me down throughout the years. And especially after I send out a soul call. I will send out a call with my thoughts to the astral level saying, okay, come find me. Then they will find me.
Do you recommend other people doing something like that, what you did?
Well, you can. It's a matter of timing. If you are feeling the pull towards doing it, do it. If you are not ready for it, don't do it. If it doesn't feel right, then it's not the right time. For example, the way I met Mari, which is nearly 10 years ago now, I sent out a soul call for other people of my particular energy to come find me. And I think I'll let Mari tell the story, this one, because after all, she's the one it happened to.
So I have to laugh about that a little bit. So, I was just walking back from class because I was at acupuncture school at the time, and I would have a conversation with the trees a lot, especially when it was 8 o'clock at night after class had ended. And then all of a sudden, I felt I needed to be somewhere, but I didn't know exactly where I needed to be. So I thought maybe I have to physically go somewhere. No, that didn't feel right. So I had to find this person on the internet. But the thing was, I could not access a single chat room with my Mac computer. So it was like the fourth day of, being all anxious trying to find this person. And I'm like, geez, this is just so stupid. I can't go anywhere. So then I was reading the Celestine Prophecy at the time, and then something told me to look at the back of the book. And there's a website. And the website just happens to have a chat room that I can actually log into. So I log into the room, carefully choosing my name, Phoenix Rekindled. And lo and behold, 5 minutes later, Gary comes in as the Phoenix, and he's been pretty much stuck with me ever since.
Yes, because I happened to be a moderator for that particular chat room before it imploded a few years later. And even at the time, I was not really going there because I was taking a break. But something pulled at me, and I saw in the chat, the names in chat, I saw Phoenix Rekindled, and I thought to myself, okay, well, all things Phoenix concern me, and I felt a pull to go in. So I went in. First question I asked is, so are you a real Phoenix? And to my surprise, she said, yes, I am. And so I private messaged Mari, and I could feel the energy. It was definitely very, very similar, though it took us at least another couple of years to work out exactly our connection.
Yeah, it's pretty intense though.
But that was a very clear case of people finding me after I sent out a soul call, and not the first one, and certainly not the last one.
So Renee's asking, is it possible that a twin flame or soulmate can be a narcissist or sociopath?
Totally. Absolutely.
Yes, totally. And Christina before asked, can your twin mate be of the same sex? And yes, a twin mate can be the same sex as well.
Absolutely.
I missed that one. Thank you.
They can. I mean, it's to do with vibrational resonance. It's got nothing to do with your sex. It's, are you feeling that draw? Is this person soul family to you? Because there's two sorts of families. There's a family you're born into, and there's a family which come into your life, and those are the ones that you feel the connections with.
Okay, so you could have a connection with a narcissist or sociopath as far as a soulmate, correct?
Yes, it is true. In fact, that's where twin flames can come also into play. Not that it's very common to come across a twin flame, but if you're an altruistic person and your twin flame is the opposite of who you are, then by definition your twin flame is going to be narcissistic. That doesn't mean that they're a bad person, but it does mean that they carry all those things that you are not, which is one of the reasons twin flames rarely work out romantically, because they drive each other crazy.
Okay, so similar to what would be Sandy, Sandy is asking, hi Gary, can a twin flame and karmic partner be the same?
Okay, by karmic partner, I assume it's somebody that you have karmic links with. And by karmic links, I would assume that you've created a situation in this life or previous lives, like best friends, or you cheated on each other, or you did something to create a lot of anger. The answer is absolutely, because just because you have a soul mate or twin flame, it doesn't necessarily mean it's been harmonious. So until everything's resolved and the circles are closed, then they will continue coming into your life, life after life, until that is resolved. Does that make sense?
Okay. Yes. So a karmic partner is somebody that you continue to hold karma with. So you could have wronged them in a different life or helped them, and they promised to help you again, and so they would come back. So that would consider them
sometimes
a soulmate in a way, correct? If you had that link.
Soulmate is more to do with your soul group, but a karmic person could be someone, for example, and I come across this quite a bit, somebody who might have been jealous of you in another life and has cast a curse on you, and that curse draws that person into your life, normally as a parent, and then you have them in your life. So you're wondering, there's a karmic link there, and that link has got to be dissolved or reconciled. Until it is, then it won't stop happening. Nobody is in your life randomly.
All right. I hope that answers your question, Sandy. Next question from Brittany. Hi, Gary. Thank you for speaking with us. Does a relationship with a soulmate usually progress rather quickly? My husband and I met, were married, and had a child within a year because things just fell into place with us. Is this normal?
If you have the correct soulmate, then absolutely it will flow. If the flow's there, if you feel like everything's working out the way it's meant to be and all the circumstances around it support it, then yes, that's a very strong sign of a soulmate.
Mm-hmm.
The thing to look out for is, does it continue? Are things always good? Are you always feeling comfortable around this person? Do they complement you? Do they support who you are, and can you support who they are? That's what you're looking for in a relationship that has soulmates in it.
So, would that be a soulmate and rather than a twin flame? Because I've heard a lot of things about twin flames being runners.
Runners?
They
Even
run away from each other.
as in they run away from each other. Well, that comes back to that is true. In fact, in my experience, I've come across avatars of my twin flame, and they do back away at a lightning speed.
Mm-hmm.
It's very much a matter of, well, it's not necessarily a twin flame. It could be your primary soulmate who you've had lots of experiences and lifetimes with, and you keep them coming together lifetime after lifetime.
Okay.
The important thing is that there can also be more than one of them.
Right.
And in fact, that brings up another point. I've spoken to people who say that they've had a soulmate and they've lost them, either they've died or they're with the wrong person. And I say to those people, that may have been that person, but that doesn't mean another avatar of that soulmate can't come into a body and into your life. That happens more than you might know. So if you found your soulmate and you've lost them, don't give up hope, because in all probability, when it's time, another one will come back into your life.
Thank you. Brittany says, so signs of profound spiritual growth in a very positive direction would be a good thing to see between the two of them, correct?
Oh, absolutely. The whole
so
point...
both of them are growing spiritually. It's a better thing than like one person stagnating and the other person going ahead, correct?
Yes, because the whole point of being here is to evolve who we are, to discover more about who we are, create our next highest level. And if you can do that with someone who can completely understand who you are, who gets you, and lets you be you, warts and all, and vice versa, then you have the makings of an amazing relationship.
All right.
So the relationship Brittany is describing is exactly how I am with my husband. We've known each other for many lifetimes before. We're not from the same soul family, but we know each other and we have a soul contract with one another in order to help each other grow. And ever since I met him, it's always flowed. Sometimes there's little ebbs, but it's always, we make each other better. We complement each other. So how is going with you and your husband, Brittany? It's looking pretty good. So congratulations. Good job.
Yeah, that's nice. And it's always good to hear those sort of things, because I hear so many people stuck in a relationship which is where they believe they were with their soulmates, and it turned out to be the exact opposite. But if this is flowing for you, this is exactly the sort of thing that you need to be looking at.
Definitely.
Now, just because someone claims to be your soulmate, it doesn't mean that they actually are healthy for you. They may not be ready on a spiritual level to be with you, especially if you have grown a lot faster than they have. Now,
so that brings us next to, what is a twin flame?
Twin flame, I believe it's from the exact same level of your soul group, but it's not your twin soul, which is
No.
when you have, that's the yin and the yang of who you are. So the twin soul is where you have your male energy and your female energy and your altruistic and your narcissistic energies, and all sort of split off into two separate beings. A twin flame, on the other hand, may be from the exact same soul, but it's separate from you. So you have someone who embodies who you are because they are from the same level. And there will be that natural affinity and draw to that person because you feel like, I feel like I've known you all my life. I feel like I've known you for many lifetimes. And you probably have. You would have known them before you came here. You would have known them in many previous lifetimes. It doesn't mean everything's going to be rosy because life throws us many curveballs. But you want to be with this person. And that's a very strong indicator that they are a twin soul.
Now, the twin flames, would you say that they tend to burn hot and then fizzle out really quickly?
It really depends. It depends on, where you are in your path, where they are in their path, your life circumstances. Like, for instance, when I met my twin flame, I'm here in California and this person's over in Australia who's already married and has a kid already, so when I met her, we're both girls, not that it matters, but, we recognize each other right away. We're like, oh yeah, but, she was totally not ready to even have a friendship with me. It was really good for a week. And then all of a sudden she hated my guts. I was the most evil person on the planet and she stopped talking to me.
And that could be due to past life grievances.
Exactly, too. So, I mean, there's so many factors. Well, for us, it was, past lives, and it's just really messy. It's like a soap opera. But anyways, so it just really depends.
Well,
really depends.
Lisa's asking, why does my soulmate keep running and we have a child together? Would that be more like a twin flame because instead of a soulmate because he keeps running away from her?
Well, first of all, are you 100% sure it is your soulmate? Secondly, sometimes just because you have a soulmate doesn't mean that you are meant to be together. I've had one soulmate who has stalked me pretty much through my entire life, and every time, she keeps on jumping into another body, and it's exactly the same being and energy because they use the same speech patterns, they make the same accusations, but they only seem to turn up when I am not available. So look, I looked into that and I found that we had certain grievances. I chose certain things over her at the time, which was more important than my own satisfaction, and she's been angry and out for revenge ever since.
Even though it's been like thousands and thousands of years, but I'm not saying anything.
What I understood of a twin flame is more the fact that one of them is ready for a relationship, and so they're called the chaser, okay? The other one, which is what we would call the runner, they're not ready for the relationship yet. And when the runner decides that they're finally ready, turns around and meets the chaser, that is usually an indication that that's when it will finally come together. You could know this person 25 years, 30 years. You could have known them since you were 2, grew up together. And they were always like the one that says, I want this, and you walked away from them multiple times, or vice versa. That's like the indication of a twin flame, really.
Yes.
Correct?
Yes, I would say so. And just because they're in your life, as I said before, doesn't mean that they should be in your life. Now, the reason why I have not gone down the path with that twin flame which keeps on stalking me is because she works very hard to validate my work. She doesn't want me to do it, and I see no reason to go enter into a relationship where I'm not being supported, because I consider what I do to be very important.
Right. See, just because you have this soulmate or this twin flame or this twin soul, it doesn't mean that they're good for you. The whole idea for this person is to, you know, you have a beneficial relationship with this person where you both grow spiritually. And if that person is not going to show you that, it could either mean that they're showing you what you need to do to grow, which is a very important role in sacrifice on their part, or you're just both in, you know, way two different situations where you had trauma and healed and they had trauma and succumbed to whatever, you know, cycle of negativity. So if the person doesn't seem to be good for you, then that is something that you need to take into consideration on whether or not you actually want to pursue anything with that person.
And the other thing is that maybe they're running because you might need to get an experience outside of that person. Other people might need to come into your life first and give you certain things that your twin soul or your soulmate or whatever can't give you. And it's important to remember that we can't be everything for everyone. It's a tremendous burden on the person. So if they were meant to be there, they will be there and they will feel the call. If they're not feeling the call, if they're running, it means they've done what they needed to do for you, and they will be back at some point, but you have work to do before that happens.
Well, one of our members of the group that is certified through this, I'm not positive what it was, but I know I've seen his certification for like the psychic services. He's saying that he keeps pulling the twin flame card from his oracle deck since yesterday. What would be the reasoning for this? This is from Kurt, by the way.
Yeah. Well, the reasoning could be a couple of answers off the top of my head. One, this person is about to enter into Kurt's life.
Right.
Or the second reason just suddenly eluded me. Isn't that good? Let's see. Or, well, let's just stick with that, and if it comes to me again, I will mention it. But
usually Gary blanks things out when he's not supposed to say it, so obviously it's the first thing that he's saying.
So yeah, you're about to experience your twin flame in some manner. If that's coming up, then look for it. Now the thing is, give it time. People pull a card and then it doesn't happen the next day and they say to themselves, oh, I must be wrong. But these things can take months or even years for it to come fully into fruition. All it's saying, this is what your path is holding on the next phase of your growth. It also could happen tomorrow, but you know, if it doesn't happen, don't stress about it. It will happen in the right time. Nothing is random. People will enter into your life as needed. And sometimes, and this is really important, if you have the people in your life at the start, they might stop you from growing and going down a path which you would not have done otherwise. And I can tell you from my own experience that if I had got myself a relationship and been happy to begin with, you know, in my teens and 20s and even early 30s, I would not be doing any of this. I would not have had the motivation and the cause to do all the research and find out why my life was not working out the way I expected it to. So if it's not flowing, if there's nobody in your life who is considered to be your soulmate, then there's a good reason behind it, and you may not see it for many decades, but trust the fact that it is valid.
Okay. Beatrice is asking, is there a difference? And I'm not sure what she's asking.
Yeah, can you clarify that, Beatrice?
Yes, please. I mean, Kurt, this full moon has brought a lot of changes for a lot of people, and I've noticed that people are going kind of more for anger because of the fact that changes are happening so quickly, and it's so heavy of a change that it's causing a lot of anger issues.
Yeah, remember, anger's born out of fear, and when things change, we tend to fear the change. I always say, if you came from a place of love and trust and know that everything that is happening to you is because it is for the best, because all change is growth, and without change we would just stagnate, and we might as well not be here because there wouldn't be any point to it.
Okay.
So, come from a place of love. If you have something which you're angry about, a partner, the politicians, the people who cheated you at the supermarket or what have you, come from a place of love. Send them healing. Try to send them the wisdom to make the right choices. All this anger that we send out to people, it makes it worse. They're not going to heal, they're not going to change because they're not getting anything that is outside of themselves. Just imagine if everyone suddenly spent a day just thinking love and support for everybody, especially our leaders, what a change there could be.
That's very true. Okay, Beatrice says, I stopped believing we just have one soulmate when I realized Walt Disney was a fairy tale writer, not a spiritual guru like many seem to believe, after age 5. So I think what the actual question, correct me if I'm wrong, is that we grew up in the time of Disney, okay? And so I know I did too. And, Snow White and all of these were, someday my prince will come, your one true love. And they all lived happily ever after. The thing is if you look at the actual originals of these before Disney got a hold of them, they were grim and down and dirty. Nobody actually had that fairy tale happy ever after ending. All of these princesses ended up dying at the end of the story. So honestly, I think we have a very short view of the actual truth of things because we're looking for that fairy tale, and when we get is the down and dirty everyday life, and we're disappointed.
Well, Disney tends to make things very romanticized and very simplistic, and there's nothing wrong with that because simple is powerful, but life gets in the way. So it's inspirational if that's what resonates with you, and there's no reason to not feel the way you do. However, remember, your whole path is to help you experience who you are and grow. And sometimes we need to be in a situation where we're not happy and we need to start looking for answers outside of ourselves.
Right.
Sometimes it's the only way to grow.
Well, and life is not going to give you this happily ever after just because, our fairy tale or our dreams say it. So we have to work at it. Nothing is ever given for free. If you want that perfect relationship, even though everybody knows you're never going to have the exact perfect relationship, you have to work at it. You have to be willing to give 100% of yourself while the other person is willing to give 100% of themselves. Because the only way to do that is make your weaknesses strengths. And your partner is supposed to do that for you.
once again, it's to do with the flow. If the flow is not there, then you need to reassess the relationship.
Mm-hmm.
Like my relationships, I've always had a flow to it. Now, they have a natural beginning and a natural middle and a natural ending. And when it comes to the end, I know it's time to move on. And I'm okay with that because I know that I'm in the process of moving to new levels. It doesn't mean that I don't appreciate what's done. It doesn't mean that there's no grieving at the end of it. But in the end, all change is good because it allows us to grow.
Okay. Leigh says, I sent him love, but I don't think he feels anything. Why is that? Mari, I know you answered the question in the...
Oh, well, that was just, just in case, so it's all good.
Okay. And yeah, if he's not ready to shift, heal himself, and find a way to make things, even if you feel very, very strongly about something and the other person doesn't, love them anyways. You can send them love, but don't continue to hold on to them as tightly, because honestly, the only thing you're doing to yourself at this point is hindering yourself from moving forward, because you are stuck trying to get him back, whereas he may never come back to you, and you have to face that and move on to something that's going to be even better than him in the future, because right now you're stuck with him, even if he doesn't want to be with you. And I hate saying that like I am, but sometimes things just need to go their separate ways.
It is a natural evolution. Society has taught us that we should have one partner for our entire life. But it doesn't work out that way. If it was meant to be that way, it would be that way. Yeah, it is perfectly fine to have several partners who are soulmates in your life. It doesn't mean if you break up with them you've done something wrong. It just simply means the time has come to move on.
That's right.
See, what helps me in terms of relationships, because I had this best friend of like 10 years, and it turns out that, we were in the same soul family, so she was one of my soulmates, and, one day she was my friend, and the next day she just tossed me to the curb, like nothing, which was very devastating for me. But I have come to the realization since after that, I realized I had different past lives. I've been on Earth for a long time, so all relationships are finite in this human body. Whether you're friends today and you're not friends tomorrow, or whether you have grown old and now you are in the process of dying, either way, the relationship will come to an end. It all just depends on when. And then the next life you can continue on that particular relationship. So that sort of, helps me out here. So that's why anytime I'm in a relationship with somebody, be it friendship, be it anything, as I will cherish that in the moment for however long that moment tends to be. So
Correct. And it is in the moment that we need to look at. It's not what we believe should be, because that's where all the pain comes from. Our belief systems, we create them and we believe we should be with a certain person, and when that belief system does not come to fruition, then we are miserable. But the point is that sometimes we're not meant to be that sort of person. It's time to embrace something completely different and shift to a new level. And by shifting to a new level, I mean let go of what no longer works for you, embrace something that you wish to have in your life, which is generally more spiritual. Sorry, that's what I finish. And then it is the next part of your journey. By shift, I mean you become more than who you are. You discover more about what you're capable of. You might discover new skills. You might overcome certain things which you consider negative about yourself. It's growth, and life is all about growth and recreating yourself anew every day. And when you're comfortable and when everything is flowing perfectly, you tend to stagnate.
Right. Renee, her comment is, my last partner, whom I felt a very deep connection with, turned out to be a huge source of pain and anguish for me. And it's been very hard not to touch that hot stove. I'm starting to believe that he activated all my core wounds in order for me to heal them. Is that what a twin flame would do? And I don't think that would be a twin flame. I think that was more of a twin soul. Am I correct with that?
It's possible, or could be just a soulmate that came into your life in order to bring out these wounds and pains, because if they weren't there to begin with, it would have no effect on you. So you might be carrying on a lot of anguish and trauma from past lives. And until they come out, you can't deal with them.
Okay. And so basically they activated all of this so that you can recognize the issues, heal them so you can move past it and be a better person.
Well, you be a more enhanced version of who you are right now. Yeah. Because
Right.
better is relative, of course.
Oh, true. I'm sorry. So, what I'm confused about is a soul twin. What is a soul twin?
A soul twin is someone who is not the other side of your soul, but from your same soul group.
Okay.
So
it would be like having a identical twin sister?
well, let's put
Or
it.
like energy
Let me
wise.
try and use an analogy here. It's like
Okay.
if you have a family of three, right? But two of you are twins, and the other one is a year older. Now, technically, you could say the twins are twin souls, and they will do everything together and resonate with each other and think each other's thoughts. The third one, well, is not your twin, is still from the same parentage, and therefore they are like a soul twin. In other words, you still have the same connection to them, but it's a different one. It's just as potent, but because they are not, born at the same time you are, then you have a very different relationship in that way.
Okay. So soul twin would be someone that matches your vibration level in every way, to the point where you basically, if you wanted to do a secret language between the two of you, they would understand what you're saying perfectly without you saying what you mean, correct?
I would say that is more a twin soul, I would say. A soul twin is someone that is from the same soul family, but they have their own quirks and skills and idiosyncrasies, but you still flow perfectly with them because you're from that same sort of energy.
So there's a soul twin and a twin soul?
Yes.
And then the soul flame, or twin flame.
Yeah.
I'm all these twins are confusing me. I'm sorry. It is quite fascinating, but terminology, they're so similar, it's hard to tell between them.
There is a lot of similar terminology, and I think a lot of people use them interchangeably, which is understandable because it's not something which you can scientifically pin down. You have to go from your own experiences and other people's experiences. So that's why I keep saying when you come across a soulmate could be anybody who happens to be resonating with you on the same vibrational frequencies at the time. That is, that they are thinking the same way and having the same sort of ideals and thoughts. And as I said, you might be perfect for each other now, but if one of you grows, or you both grow in different directions 10 years down the road, you'll find that, hey, we're not getting along anymore. And that's because your vibration is now completely different, to his, and you're even though you started from the same place, you've now ended up in different places.
Okay. Kurt's asking, so an eternal companion can an eternal companion even exist?
Totally, but it doesn't necessarily mean they're going to be in your life.
Mm-hmm.
It is a matter of what are you here to do, and will having your eternal companion in your life help you do that? And if it's not going to help you, if you're not going to gain what you need to gain, then that person may stay in the astral levels until such times as that you are ready to rejoin each other.
Basically, for instance, my demon companion. He's always been around, letting me know what's going on in the demon realms and stuff. And I mean, he's not physically here, but he's here. And I've noticed that he's been here for quite a few lifetimes, and so that would be an eternal companion, correct?
Well, only you can really tell me that. Eternal means they've always been there. They were there when you were born, or you might have been born at the same time.
Okay.
And by born, I'm talking about the astral levels. You know.
Right.
Technically, we're all created in the now, because time is an illusion.
Right.
But you always feel complete with them when you're in their presence. And it doesn't have to be romantic. It can be a brother, it can be a friend, it can be your mother or father. It doesn't really matter. The point is that they may have different roles in your life depending on what you are here to do.
Okay. The next question is, Lisa's asking, I have another child by a guy. The first time I saw him, we communicated without saying a word. He just died. Would he be a twin flame or a soul twin? I think that's more or less, I'm not really sure about that, what he would be categorized as. But, you two have obviously had a connection deeper than the physical.
If I had to say, I would say it's a twin flame. Because that's the flow you have with the right person. And remember what I said, even though he may have passed on from this body, it doesn't necessarily mean he can't come back into another body, or there's another avatar of him somewhere around. It very much depends. Sometimes we get to a point in our lives where we get stuck in certain ways and mind frames, and the only way to actually move on is to be reborn and forget everything so we can recreate ourselves anew.
Now, when we are reborn and we forget everything, do the same type of souls gravitate to you in each life?
Yes.
So they would be reborn in the same era that you would be reborn in to continue lives together?
Generally, yes.
Okay.
Once again, it very much depends on what you have chosen to do before you came here.
All right. Because a soulmate would be you're reborn, they're reborn at the same time or in that area, and so they're there to help you along your way. So what's the point of forgetting everything if your soulmate is just going to come along and shake things up again for you?
Well, the reason you forget everything is so you don't carry past baggage into your new life. And if you don't know who you are, then you have to create yourself and find out who you are, and you're not hampered by your previous beliefs of who you are. If you already know who you are, you can't really grow because you know who you are. But if you don't know who you are, then you can choose this as a complete new opportunity to become something much greater than you ever were, because you're not being held back by your former beliefs. Your belief systems create your reality. And until you change your belief systems, and some people can't do that until they completely forget them,
Mm-hmm.
then you are not going to be able to grow.
All right.
There's
Now,
a
I've
reason
always been... Sorry. There's a reason for what?
There's a reason why we do forget our lives.
Okay. I've always been told that you only have one twin flame, and that twin flame is always there, no matter, where you are in life. That twin flame is the only one that you have. But Lisa, I was also asking that, can you have two twin flames?
You can have the same twin flames which is in separate bodies, because we, as a soul, we have the ability to fragment ourselves into many, many different aspects of who we are and put them or incarnate them into bodies. Some are walk-ins, some are born into bodies. The point is that we could choose to be many different people at the same time, but on the astral level we are still one soul.
Okay.
It once again depends on what you need to experience and what will help the situation along.
So basically, when you come to Earth, you have one astral body. You come to Earth, you might choose to experience life in the 50s and life in the 80s and life in the 2050s, and then all of those are basically you. So if you decided to have 3 different lives in the same timeline, so let's say right now there's 3 different people exactly like me, my soul, walking around Earth in the same, say, day and age as I am right now. That would mean that my twin flame would have 3 twin flames because there's 3 of me, correct?
Absolutely correct.
Okay.
And there is absolutely no reason why that can't happen. There's no universal law saying you can only incarnate into one body at one time. And my experience is that souls have many avatars around them in order to gain different experiences. But you can normally recognize them by the fact they have the same personality, the same looks, the same kind of energy.
All right. Renee is asking, do you ever get to graduate from coming to Earth?
You're here by choice, and Earth is one of those unique places which allow you to go into a physical body, forget who you are, and experience yourself in any way you choose, which is what free will is about. And you can do it as much as you want. You can even relive this life in many different ways and timelines as you like. And when you're done, you're done.
Okay.
There's just so much to do, and it's the only thing you really have to do, because as a soul, the whole thing is to experience ourselves, or know ourselves experientially. You can know yourself conceptually, but I've used this analogy before. It's like reading sex from a book or actually experiencing sex.
Right.
2 very different things. So if you want to leave Earth, you can leave Earth, but soul-wise, you'll probably say, okay, I've got other things I want to do. I want to experience being rich. I want to experience being poor. I want to experience what pain is, so I know, can I really appreciate what love is, etc.
Right. The other thing is that, for me, I love books. I love learning. And honestly, I could be on Earth billions of years, having millions and millions of lifetimes. Even if I didn't forget what I've learned in the previous lifetimes, I would never even be able to keep up with all of the knowledge that everybody has brought to this planet. It is phenomenal.
So what you're saying is basically there's just so much here all the time that one lifetime is definitely not enough, even a dozen lifetimes, and that's why we have so many of our own avatars around in order to experience everything we can possibly experience.
Lisa says, I have a stalker who want to call me. Just
Okay, so
seeing that you have a stalker, that's
Yeah, there
I'm
are
not sure exactly.
Okay, I assume she's saying she has a stalker, and probably one of these stalkers who keep on saying, you know, you should be with me and I'm your soulmate. I have the same thing and it drives me crazy. The point is, if you're not feeling the pull towards them, then you're not feeling the pull towards them. And that's pretty much the end of the story. There is absolutely no reason for you to be with someone if you're not feeling it. And if you're meant to be with them, you'll know it.
Yeah. I have a couple of people that are like that. They've stalked me and they just won't get the hint. You know, and they're just constantly trying to get me to pay attention to them, and they're chasing me all the time. And you know, they may think that I am their soulmate, twin flame, what have you, but maybe that's just the way they're looking at it, not the way that I'm looking at it.
It is true, and life is often more complex than we might realize. The thing with soulmates is that if there is no flow both ways, then it's just not the right time. We're nearly out of time, so any final thoughts, Mary? I'm going to assume that, yeah, don't know. Okay, so Mary's disappeared. What about you, Jen?
Be careful what you're asking for and keep an eye out. Somebody that is a seasonal person, don't make them a permanent fixture in your life because you never know what's out there.
That's true. Life is change, and it's okay to have several soul connections in this life. And remember, it's all about flow. When the flow is there, enjoy it, and when it no longer is there, it's time to move on to the next great adventure in your life.
Correct.
Okay, well, thank you for everyone for joining us. Hopefully this has been a useful topic for you and you learned something.
For more information on empathy and stuff like that, you can go to the Empath resource site. You can also click on books in the site and get your own copy of I Am the Phoenix or the Empath guidebook.
And remember, if you want personal one-on-one help, I do offer a service which you can check out at empathsupport.net.
We also have the YouTube channel if you would like to go and watch any of our older podcasts. They will be on YouTube.
So, thank you all. Thanks, Mary. Thanks, Jen.
No problem.
Thank you, Mari. Thank you, Gary. And everybody have a wonderful day.
Bye.
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 Hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you did, here are some others you might find interesting. If you have any thoughts, I'd love to hear about them. Leave a comment and maybe even a like.